Hello and welcome to the Monster Sanctuary Tournament Circuit. Today we're going to be casting the quarterfinals of the third tournament of Season 1, United Nations. I'm Quarter.
And I'm FlowingJuffowup, and our match is going to be between Astrokid on the left and Red on the right.
It's going to be a pretty exciting one based on what we've seen of the existing VODs, both having some very similar teams. We have King Blob and Targoat on both of their rosters. A bit of variety in the damage comps, but they're both very focused on charge.
Yeah, a lot of charge synergy, a lot of buffs going around. Big damage from both sides is the game plan.
Oh, absolutely. And seeing a Mimic versus an Eagle, it's really the question of who picks up this one-shot first. Obviously, Phoenix has a bit of an advantage on that. Not being able to immediately bop it without popping that affinity is going to be important there. But the Icy Shots immediately comes out, and the affinity is gone, and the bleed takes the rest of it. That's the power of Mimic versus Eagle.
Yeah, it's always dangerous leading something relatively frail like Eagle against something with high damage and bleed like Mimic.
Yeah, the damage over time there can really be awkward when you're relying on that, getting the sustain for a couple extra turns there, as the turn one does backfire a bit. The full protect, however, trying to keep the Elder Gel up for a bit longer while still spreading those charge procs. We don't see any blind as well there, but we do see a Solar Burst coming out there just to spread some debuffs alongside.
Yeah, so from the looks of the skill distribution on this Oculus, it looks like it's more of a offensive support that just is there to build combo, spread debuffs, and then spread charge through leadership and intelligent swarm, which combined with the leadership on Targoat means a lot of charge tracks get thrown around.
Yep, we are seeing Red respond, trying to just make sure that the Mimic is able to get everything up and running here. Also attempting to spread some further armor break with the Goat there as the tackle does connect. And that's another DPSer down on the side of Astrokid, very quickly running out of high damage monsters.
Yeah, unless this Warlock is spec'd out, it looks like it's a full healer Warlock. So at this point, Oculus is going to have to be the backbone of the offensive output of the team, which is not a good place to be in.
No, I mean, at least we have the opportunity for charge procs here, but this is looking like it's very swiftly falling into Red's pocket for this first game.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a way Astrokid can come back from this. Not going to be enough damage output to get through all three of Red's DPSs and all the supports at the same time.
Yeah, the problem is, even if the Mimic goes down, even if the Miner goes down, we still have a Targoat that can fill that role, and both Noir and Brawlish are equally frustrating for Astrokid to try to deal with. As we're seeing, this is just a huge amount of damage output.
Yeah, a team like Astrokid's here that has 3 Phoenix Affinity users on it can be just a nightmare for a lot of teams to deal with, but having something like Mimic and getting it set up and just allowing it to take shot after shot and one-shot all these Phoenix Affinity monsters, it creates a huge amount of velocity for Red.
It's a good reminder that bleed can be a really fantastic answer to a lot of those compositions, as we've seen with the alpha strike of the dark shifted Mimic, with that mana potential really ramping up its damage. Still, though, we do have the World of Supports trying to keep the dream alive, but the Warlock's down as well now.
Yeah, that's going to be the forfeit for Astrokid there. No way to come back from that with that team composition there.
Yeah, that escalated very quickly. Well, the question is, what's going to happen differently? I don't actually see any swap outs on Astrokid, so we don't see any sideboarding.
Yeah, the thing about Astrokid is there is no sideboard. So no option there to sideboard at all for Astrokid.
I see.
Red, on the other hand, does have 2 sideboard monsters. They have Argiope and It was Plague Egg. Yeah, Plague Egg. We did see Red bring the Argiope to an earlier featured match against Beryl. Don't see it here, though. I don't know if it's really going to be necessary.
I mean, it looks like the options here are pretty straightforward. We do, however, see a swap in the opening lineup there. Going for the Noir instead actually makes it more vulnerable to the Eagle opener here, but we do see Targot out alongside King Blob, a very tried and true, please don't kill my DPS combo.
Yeah, I like this change up on the lead from Red because sending out Drac Noir first keeps your Mimic safe in the back, and we saw how huge Mimic was in that game 1. You don't want to risk losing it before it gets in action.
That's very true. Okay, well, we're chewing through the shields there on Astrokid's side, as the Target's going to once again need to make sure that this Eagle stays safe. We see a full healed come out from the King Blob as well there, just ramping up those charge procs. That weakness,
a lot of
though.
Charge, a lot of buffs. That single stack of weakness is just enough to keep this Drac Noir alive.
Oh, it can be such a devastating status condition for especially burst, like single charge burst damage, like we see out of Eagle, which lives and dies by a single proc.
Yeah, you're always on the edge of the knife when you're playing something like Eagle that really relies on one big hit and getting a crit on that big hit.
We also haven't seen enough, like, because we don't have the Oculus or the Warlock on the field right now, we don't necessarily have the same capacity for Thunderstrike to reach its same damaging potential here. With that as well, we see the ult come out from the Draco Noir, really hammering that target. That shot was obviously meant for another, but hey, taunt is fantastic.
So Astrokid decides to target the Targoat with the heals to try and keep it around for a little bit longer, keep the team healthy, but does not go for a protect, interestingly. Maybe also to keep the Targoat around.
Yeah, it does appear to be the case. We do see the Thunderstrike does come down after the combo gets set up there, as the H procs are helping it reach its damage potential here, as we do see the King Blob goes down.
Now Red has the team of Targoat and Miner, which is very, very good at keeping your DPSs safe due to the combination of Protect and Taunt.
That's also a lot of charge procs off of both of those, depending on how, of course, this Miner respect. I'm assuming that as we look at that, we are seeing a variety of buffs give the charge procs alongside, I'm assuming, the shields coming out of that as well. We see the Eagle is, however, still standing.
Yeah, very clutch survival there, sticking around for another turn.
And this is a good turn to potentially get that protect off. But no, we see a shield instead, just trying to get the charges up that way and not put too much heat on the bogey as the life wave comes out, getting both up to a reasonable HP threshold. Ooh, those are some very scary damage rolls right there.
One of the other benefits of going with shield over full protect is that you are spreading more charge stacks across the team. But of course, you're leaving your DPS very vulnerable to direct attack without any breaking of the protect.
Yeah, that is a concerning thing there. It unfortunately doesn't pay off as well, as the Thunderstrike does not wind up taking down the Targoat, which I'm assuming is what that was spec'd for right there.
It does have a blind stack on the Targoat, which I do not think will be relevant.
I mean, it's kind of cool. But I don't expect this Target to be doing much attacking. Forge coming up there, just getting a couple more. I'm pretty sure we already had Glory on that side, but the extra charge is always appreciated. The evasion does come out, but I don't know where that miss came from, actually.
Yeah, they're not seeing an agility. Oh, there is agility on the
there
Eagle.
We go. Still, though, we saw Phoenix proc right there, so now you definitely got to keep this Eagle safe. Still got a reasonable foothold into this match, but it would be wise not to give too much ground to Red when we've seen what that composition can do. The Thunderstrike does knock down the Targoat as 2 of the supports are down.
Yeah, it seems like the game plan for Astrokid might be to just whittle away at all these supports on Red's team first, rather than the DPS, which I think is probably a pretty good strategy, because if Red has nothing but DPS at the end of the game, it's going to be much less impressive damage output from all of them.
Yeah, additionally, it means that it's going to be a lot easier to do the same strategy of spot removing a target without having to deal with the constant restores, the constant misdirections of the taunt. It makes it a lot more manageable for Astrokid.
Yeah.
Speak of the devil, there's another taunted claws right there, keeping the Eagle up and running. Frost Pierce, however, does come down and whiffs. The bleed's going to be nice, and the weakness and chill is going to help support it a bit, but it's not enough.
Yeah, you can see the difference between this Mimic attacking a fully buffed and age stack. It's got the age stacks. Yeah. It's set up, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, absolutely. 5 age stacks means that that's a lot harder to reach the same sort of threshold with. The Alpha Strike on turn 1 means that it's much more vulnerable. It's one of the reasons why I was kind of surprised that obviously Mimic is equally vulnerable then, but I feel like you got to do that feast or famine.
Ooh, the explosion gets taunted away.
That's a relief.
Not the move you want to see getting taunted into a Goblin Miner, because it has a full resist to it, so it's not going to take much damage from that.
Yeah,
that's one reason,
definitely...
like, in this situation, you might want to go with a Thunder Strike if you know it could get taunted away by the Goblin Miner, because that's going to do a lot more damage to the Miner if it does get taunted.
That makes sense. When you've got a taunt like that, playing around that as a potential misdirection is definitely a valuable thing to do.
Yeah.
Might have been put off by the spell shield, but we see that it's got an evade as well, so it would have been much of a muchness. Ooh, that's getting real close there.
Continues to stick around. It's getting more and more threatening every turn that it survives.
Yeah, no, it just keeps ramping up, and once again, the tried and true combo of King Blob Targoat is not going down just yet. Keeping this Eagle alive and safe as the Thunderstrike does happen this time, and the Mimic is down. We are down to 3 Tems on Red's side. Mons, oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Whatever these things are.
Yeah, that one.
This is definitely not the end game that Red wants to be stuck in here.
Well, at least there's Infinity. Really.
Yeah, he does have the Infinity stacks. He gets the first chance to benefit from the Infinity stacks due to going second in this game. So we'll see if that is enough to pick up at least one knockout here and try to get Red back in this game.
It's it's a bit of a home stretch, as you say. Like the Miner is the only support, and there is no real source of healing here.
Ooh, Bill sticks around again.
Yeah, an unfortunate couple of misses there on the Dark Shroud, but I don't think that would have mattered. Even before the regen hit, that was still a reasonable amount of HP left on the Eagle.
Yeah, I think if Draconoir goes down this turn, that should be enough to wrap it up, because Brawlish on its own is not going to be able to break through Targoat, I don't think.
Oh, no. Not without the support that we've seen in previous games. As the Brawlish goes down first, that Thunderstrike just nuking that spot. And this is looking like game. Without the ability to set combo, Red taps out.
On to game 3, tied up 1 apiece. Still no sideboard from either player.
So we gotta wonder whether what Red's gonna be doing differently this game. While the Draconoir was a more conservative approach for the lead, it did seem to not necessarily work out in their favor. They do get first turn this time.
Yeah, it was
Whoa.
interesting because Astrokid essentially ignored Draconoir for a large portion of the game, and it wasn't able to punish that, which is kind of an issue when you have a DPS that just sticks around. You want it to be picking at knockouts.
Yeah, it felt very slow in comparison to the Mimic opener. It's good to see it back here. Speaking of which, full support lineup from Astrokid in the start. Oculus kind of just drawing fire as far as I can tell, and really working. This looks, it's like the game plan is more just to set up a pile of debuffs.
Yeah, I think this was a very kind of sacrificial lamb starting 3 for Astrokid, just expecting that something was going to get knocked out, and then planning to bring in a DPS after that. Red kind of plays around that and just sets up for the next turn, which is good, I think. I think that's a good play.
Yeah, it's definitely calling Astrokid's bluff there because, like, when you're not actually pressured to kill any of the targets immediately, the only thing with H stacks here is Warlock, and that's not the same threat potential as Eagle by any stretch. You can afford to take your time a little bit. Yeah, that Oculus isn't necessarily doing the same ludicrous damage as we've seen.
Yeah, Oculus has the potential to do decent damage if you spec it out to be a damage dealer, but I don't think that Astrokid's Oculus is really specced out to fill that role.
Oh, that said, after the setup, the blob just got ended by the Mimic. Once again, Tackle showing the incredible capacity to ignore damage resistance right there.
We're going to see a full offense on the Elder Gel to try and get it set up so it can pick up a knockout on this Mimic before it tears through the entire team again.
That is going to be, 3 sorcery charges on it before everything's said and done?
Let's see. It's got 2 on it now due to Brains over Brawn. Would have been enough for a knockout if it wasn't for the taunt.
Oh! Once again...
That's another situation where maybe going with the single target water would be better than the fireball there, but sometimes you just have to play for the knockout and hope you don't get taunted.
Sometimes you just can't avoid that 25%. It happens.
Yeah. Happens when you least want it to.
The Desire Radar in effect. Forge coming up once again, just getting those charge buffs up, getting a bit more shield on everybody. And the Tackle careens into the Elder Gel, popping Phoenix Affinity and taking it down with the bleed. This is looking
another full offense.
Yep, so let's see if this Phoenix can get up and running before Red tears it to pieces as well. It's definitely looking like a lot more of the sort of tempo that Red was looking for. After that first little sort of revving turn, it's been pretty devastating salvo so far.
So 18 hit combo, not bad, but it is enough to get the knockout. Extra procs at the end, probably a shock proc or 2 in there.
Very valuable.
Yeah, the extra shock passes on Eagle can really make those shock hits do a lot more damage than you would expect them to.
It's something I overlook occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely possible that you could run Eagle without them, but when you have something like Oculus that's really good at spreading debuffs around, it's definitely worth having.
That makes a lot of sense. It helps buffer the fact that otherwise you get a lot of moves on Eagle that just don't have the same multi-hit power, outside of course, Thunderstrike, which, of course, definitely synergizes off of that. Speaking of which, Freezing Punches, bringing it down, popping the Affinity as well. However, it looks like we are going to see a full restore fall in on that. Is that going to be an Encapsulate from the Oculus as well? We don't... yeah, I was going to say, we do still have that Encapsulate 5 there.
Looks like a pretty free knockout as long as it doesn't get taunted away. That's always the caveat.
Yeah, Minor really showing its value right here.
Ooh, and the taunt comes out right on time.
And there it is.
So we'll see if Red can take advantage of that huge taunt there. Because if Eagle goes down, this game is squarely in Red's favor.
Oh yeah, as you said in game one, once it goes down to the point where Oculus is the only one doing damage here, we've seen that board, and we know it's not a very mobile one for Astrokid.
Yeah, Brawlish is a really cool monster that you don't see very much in other formats. And I love the fact that United Nations is kind of giving it a chance to jump to the forefront and become one of the go-to DPSs on a lot of different teams that we've seen.
We have seen it perform pretty effectively. Once again, in the barrel game, it did some pretty astonishing work. As, we do see the tap out right there.
Right, so on to next game now. Astrokid is going to take the opportunity to go first again and try to make a dent in Red's team before it gets going. We see another new opener from Red with the Brawlish coming out next to King, Blob, and Miner.
Miner Blob is not one I see as often, but once again, you've got the taunt alongside the restores and a glory support there in the form of Forge, which seems pretty valuable as a combination. But the Alpha Strike coming out there immediately removes the Brawlish.
Yeah, I'm not at all surprised that Red decided to go with a team that had King, Blob, and Miner on it, because that was a combination that Red ran in the last standard tournament and did very well with it.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Both of them are pretty effective and, more importantly, do different things as supports, allowing them to synergize effectively. The Frost Pierce coming out, a retributive strike for sure. The Bleed does secure the kill on the Eagle, but that trade... Is that going to be... Actually, no. With the Mimic out now, that trade seems pretty valuable. Kind of feels like a fake out lead from Red almost, having the Brawlish go down just for the Mimic to come in and immediately womp one of the best hitters on Astrokid's side.
This is a very, very important turn right here. If Astrokid can get a knockout on Mimic right now, this game is very, very winnable. But if it gets taunted away, almost guaranteed that Elder Gel is going down.
The ult gets taunted again, and it's resisted on fire, as we've seen time and time again.
Yeah, this Miner on Red's team right now is putting in an overtime shift and going for that Christmas bonus.
For real, though, it has just been walling every single hit that Astrokid has wanted to land on these DPSers, just time and time and again.
See the Miner break to protect, so here comes the tackle. Elder Gel is down. I think that wraps this game up.
Yeah, no, it's going to be hard for Astrokid to come back from that one with both of their best damage dealers on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, you see, like, Mimic is just such a huge, huge threat to Astrokid's team. Just rips through everything.
It doesn't help that it has, of course, the neutral, which Elder Gel is terrified of, and then also is uniquely, as we said before, equipped to tear down Phoenix Affinity.
Yeah, a monster like Mimic is just so strong, especially in the tournament environment, because you know exactly what elemental coverage you need. Take advantage of your opponent's weaknesses, so you can build your Mimic in a way. Like, I'm assuming that Red has, maxed out ice shots, maxed out tackle, everything else you can pretty much ignore. You can just put the rest of those points into passives and bulk,
which just helps it do its job even more with the mana potential here, getting those massive early strikes as we've seen. I definitely see what you mean in terms of being able to tech the incredibly wide-ranging skill tree of Mimic to exactly what you need at any one point, which certainly helps inside a tournament format.
Yeah, Just not a lot of options for Astrokid at this point.
Still 4 mons remaining, and it feels awkward to see it go so one-sided. But the question is, can we see any dents come in from this Oculus as it's being forced to play position 3 effectively here?
Yeah, if there's one weakness to Astrokid's team, I would say it's definitely support heavy. So when your 2 big heavy hitters go down, it's just really difficult to get back in the game.
It doesn't help that we're actually not seeing too much revive on Astrokid's team either. Not that it's gotten to that point, obviously, which is of course one of the issues here. But the challenge then comes to the fact that you can't get them back, and if you did get them back, you need to get all your buffs on them again. Just makes it that much harder for Astrokid to do what they need to do in this inside this environment.
Yeah. Yeah, really, when you look at the 2 teams, one of the big differences is that Red has Goblin Miner, and Astrokid has Goblin Warlock. And we've seen in this game, Miner has been much, much more impactful than Goblin Warlock is.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. The defensive capacity that Miner has brought has been incredibly valuable, and it is also far less frail with its more standard resistance chart, which has really helped it out.
That's one of the big challenges with United Nations team building is, what monster do I want to fill these really important tribal slots? Goblin is kind of traditionally has been kind of overlooked, it's been a bad tribe more or less for a lot of the game cycle. But with this recent patch, so many of the goblins have been buffed up, and they're so viable now that it's actually become one of the more key tribal slots to fill on a team.
It's great to hear that life has been breathed into that tribe in this most recent patch. Just looking through everything, it's been fun to look at, say how many teams Miner has just happily slotted in on, and how easy it is to see Goblin Pilot, for instance, just rocket through enemy teams. That said, though, as you're saying here, Warlock on this just makes it a little bit too frail in comparison to what we've seen on Red's side.
Yeah, like one of the big benefits to having Goblin Warlock is supremacy. But on Astrokid's team, the only other monster that's really utilizing that is Oculus. So if you don't have Oculus and Warlock together, then you're not getting as much value out of Warlock as you would normally.
Do you think that would work better as debuff mastery then, just to make sure that you're able to land a couple more poisons in, allowing for maybe a couple more shocks as well, which could potentially allow your eagle to do your job better?
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible. I don't dislike that idea for sure. One of the really, really degenerate things you can do with Oculus is having 2 supremacy monsters out at the same time as Oculus. Then you just hit absolutely astronomical numbers of charge.
Ooh, yeah, no, a Hades on that just sets fire to the board.
Yeah, one of the good teams that I had tested out in preparation for this tournament was leading Goblin Warlock, Oculus, and Lava Blob. And that has the turn 1 potential that can rival any team in the game as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely massive turn 1.
That's important to note. And yeah, with that, Astrokid concedes.
Yeah, that wraps it up. So Red takes it 3-1, and we'll be facing the winner of the match between me and PT Bronze.